Welcome. Today I wanted to share a strategy that I made up. It's called Some Not None, and it's pretty straightforward, but it can be applied in so many different ways. And it's, as it says, some not none. So doing some of something rather than not getting around to doing any of it. I use it every day for so many different things, and I think you'll find it useful too if you haven't heard of it. So you can use it for yoga, which is where this video will get to, but I'll start by talking about some other ways that it can be applied. So often we're faced with something that we'd like to get done. Might be just something around the house, or something on your to-do list, or a project that you're working on, chores, life admin things. And so doing some not none can be a way to get started and actually take some action towards finishing the task. It helps you break it down so that you figure out what some might look like and get on and do that. And once you start, you can find that you do more than you expected. So it might be getting half of it done, or it might be doing all of it, so you end up doing more than just some. You might find that you've been hoping to do the thing for days or weeks, and it's just felt like too out of your capacity. And once you finally get around to trying to do some of it, you get a bit of feedback about whether it is possible or how that went for you, and then you can figure out some more strategies to apply so that you can attempt it again and maybe have a bit more success. It's a way too of not just thinking the whole day, I want to get that thing done, but I haven't started, and sort of all the procrastination or the excuses that you can make that mean you don't start. Let me think what else there is that I use it for. Anyway, we'll go into a bit of yoga talk, and for a lot of people, they can have good intentions about having a practice at home, but not really know where to start and feel like it needs to be bigger than it really does. So the some not none idea, if you figure out what some would look like, then actually do that regularly. It's a lot more yoga, a lot more stretching, a lot more movement, a lot more mindfulness, a lot more breath awareness than if you wait to figure out what your perfect yoga practice looks like, or what enough looks like. There's like hundreds of books and things on the internet that show all the different yoga poses, hundreds and hundreds of ideas, and videos and things that have lots of different poses that you know some are going to be too hard for you, or you're not strong enough, or you don't have enough energy, so you don't feel like you can attempt it. But if you figure out just like 5 poses that you're comfortable with and that you like and that feel good for your body, write them down. You might brainstorm like 30 things and then narrow it down to just 5, or a few sets of 5 that you can pick and choose on different days. The other way to do some, not none, of yoga practice is just those basic movements that you don't have to sit down on a mat or have a heap of energy at once, but if you have them in mind, that you can do one at a time through your day, where you pause your thoughts for a few moments and you focus on your breath and you move your body. You're in the present moment. You're aware of how you're holding your body, how you're using your breath. You can add up through the day all these minutes at a time that you're looking after your body and you're putting your joints through their full range of motion, instead of, for like days on end, you may not take your arms out to the side or something, that you're not stretching those muscles in a particular way. So such basic movements that we'll go through in a few minutes are really powerful, because they do something that you're not doing with your body, and that helps free up the joints, stretches your muscles, helps your circulation, all that kind of useful things that your body appreciates, and that it's not that hard to do something while you sit in front of a screen, to do it while the kettle boils, while you're stirring something on the stove, just trying to scatter tiny bits of movement through your day. Or, as we said before, that picking the 5 things you want to do, those mini routines that you can, once you've done it a few times, you can do it without thinking too much. You know that it won't take very long, and you know that you can give yourself a big gold star at the end and feel like you've done something good for yourself. Figuring out, if you're going to try and do like a set of movements, what the barriers to actually doing them are for you. So you might feel like the movements that you have in mind, you need to have clothes that aren't restrictive. So figuring out, well, when's that going to happen? Is it that you need to do them in your pajamas before you get dressed in the morning, or before you hop into bed? Or if they are things that you need like time to yourself, where there's not other people around, really narrowing down and identifying those windows of opportunity, so that when they appear you can grab hold of them and prioritize using those windows to do that thing that you know will make you feel good and be good for your body, good for your mind. Figuring out like a bit of a goal for the week with your movement, that you might feel like, hey, it'd be great to do it every day, but how many days is it likely to fit in? You might have activities and commitments during your week that mean that it's sort of not going to happen on that particular day. So if you know there are 3 realistic days in the week and you've identified them, then you are precious about taking the opportunity on those days to do your practice. Because once that day's gone, that you have to wait till the next week or the other day later in the week. So trying to be a bit disciplined in having that awareness of what's possible when means you've got some chance of reaching some goals, that instead of feeling like you can do your practice any day of the week, and not getting around to doing some, then it's not really working for you. So narrowing it down so that those windows of opportunity are clear in your mind, and even if you don't really feel up to it on the day, figuring out what the alternative is, whether you just have to lie on your yoga mat for the 5 or 10 minutes that you'd otherwise be moving, you're still kind of showing up, and maybe you just breathe for that time. Maybe you focus your thoughts onto your breath, do a body scan, just try and still show up and make some kind of attempt. And yeah, have a big think about what else in your life you can do some, not none with. There might be some hobbies that you would like to get back into, spending a bit more time, even just reading an actual book. Figure out what you need to set up so that you can do some, not none, and again, identify those windows of opportunity where reading or knitting or scrapbooking, whatever your thing is, might be editing photos when that's possible. Because again, you might go, oh, I could do it any day of the week, but you're not getting around to doing it. So knowing the couple of days or afternoons or after dinner slots that it's possible, you can again just hold that time precious and make that conscious choice, knowing that if you don't do it in that slot, then you have to wait till the next one, and you're not building a habit of doing those things that are important to you to try and do a bit more of. Yeah, so I'd really like to hear if you try it after listening to this, if you already do something similar, if you do this already because you've heard me talk about it before, what things you do some, not none of, what you're inspired to try doing some, not none of. Remember, just break things down into, I also talk about tiny tasks, so little bits that make it easy to know where to start, what the next thing to do to progress the task is. And also having things set up so that it's really easy, that you just reach for your book, your knitting, you've got somewhere comfy to do whatever the activity is. You know when it's going to be possible, and it can make your life a lot more enjoyable because you're not feeling disappointed with yourself because you don't get around to doing those things as much as you'd like. And yeah, it just kind of can be a bit contagious that once you start thinking some, not none, oh yeah, I'll do some of the dishes, or I'll wash some of the floors, or I'll walk some of the distance instead of going for the long walk. You'll just actually go outside and yeah, just try and think of all those little things that you'd like to do a bit more of, and figure out what some, not none looks like. That's probably enough talking, and I will go through some of those movements through your joints that you'll be familiar with from some of the other videos. You'll definitely know if you come to my classes, and yeah, they can feel maybe a bit boring, and maybe feel like they're not really yoga, but if you are doing the breath awareness and the mindful thoughts at the same time, it's pretty good for yoga. Yoga doesn't have to look like contortions or be poses that have names. So we will roll our shoulders, and we will think about when we're going to roll our shoulders through our week, picturing where we're going to be when we roll our shoulders. Go back the other way, deciding whether this might be an everyday thing you're going to do, you can hug your shoulders up and drop your head across your shoulders and the top of your back. And it's, for me, it feels quite nice, but make sure it does feel good for you. And it kind of scrunches into your neck muscles that can hold a lot of tension. So see what that feels like, just going from side to side, using your raised shoulders to support your head and neck. And back to center, lowering your shoulders. Taking your right ear to your right shoulder. Feeling the big stretch down the left side of your neck. I'm really paying attention when you do these things to figure out when the stretch feels like you've done it for long enough. In class, we kind of have to keep moving, go to the other side. So you don't really get the choice to continue stretching till you feel like you've had enough. And when I teach, I don't have that choice either. You just have to keep going. Back to center, chin down to your chest. Inhale as you lift your head. We'll take our arms back, and as you lift your head, you can lift your chest, letting your head drop back a little bit, but protecting your neck, opening through your chest, coming back to center, folding over, so you're curving your back. You can decide if you reach your arms forward or just bring your chin to your chest, arching the spine a bit. Coming up. Again, I should have said a bit earlier, but you don't have to sit cross-legged all the time. You can be sitting on a chair or standing or having your legs out in front. Stretching them out. So we'll stretch them out and we'll do our feet and ankle exercises. Again, you can do these lying in bed, sitting on the couch, under your desk as you work at your computer. Picturing when you're going to do these. Back the other way. Thinking about all the muscles in your ankles, about all the blood vessels in your feet and ankles, and how the blood can pool in your feet and ankles, especially if you have a chronic illness or if you're affected by the heat or even the cold. When it's cold, our blood vessels constrict to try and keep the warm blood in our core. So when the vessels are really constricted, it's harder for the blood that's come down your arteries to get back up through your veins, because it gets into the tiniest of capillaries in between, and if they've closed down to be quite small, it means the cold blood can stay in your extremities. Another thing you can do is raise your feet so that gravity helps bring the blood back, even so you can have your legs up the wall or up your bed head, or you can just raise them. You could be lying on the floor or the couch with your feet, I've got a hair in my mouth, your feet raised up. Scrunch your toes, spread them wide, really stretch through your feet. Scrunch, stretch. If your feet are always in socks and shoes, or stretch them out, helping the feet remember the extent that they can stretch. When they're confined, they get used to being kind of in one position. Some shoes don't let you really flex your feet either. They can be quite firm. So your feet health is so important for your balance and your mobility, and something that you just have to really keep in mind, especially if you're not very active. And so walking around your house in socks or bare feet just helps you spread your feet out, make the muscles work harder. Very important. Now, when you do each of these movements, it's good to assess how it feels afterwards. I guess beforehand and afterwards, and just kind of get that feedback into your mind and your body that it makes you feel better. It's helpful. And it also means you notice if there's any weird twinges, that something you did that didn't really feel right, and you can modify it. Trying to move your spine through all its orientations, all its flexions is really good too. There's so many muscles that support our core and our spine, and moving them helps the circulation. Getting good blood flow into the muscles helps a lot with pain and the health of the muscles. So you're taking waste products away, you're bringing nutrients and oxygen to the muscles to support their work, as well as the nerves that are in those areas, which helps the messages that travel in the nerves be supported. So healthy nerves can help your nervous system work a bit better, and that can be really important for pain too, because sometimes pain becomes more of a chronic problem rather than pain because of something that's wrong in the muscles. So you might have something wrong, like an injury or inflammation in the muscles, and of course that makes, that needs to signal to your body that there's pain, that there is something wrong that you need to be mindful of. But when those problems heal up, you can still have those pain signals firing in your body, and it hurts, and your brain feels those, interprets those pain signals and makes life really miserable. And so trying to keep those nerves as healthy as you can. Moving, stretching stretches the nerves too, and brings all the things in the blood that they need to be healthy. Raising your arms, we're going to turn from side to side, keeping our arms in line with our spine. You can have your arms stretched out, or you twist them around your body. Figure out something that feels right. You might, swing them, depends how much room you've got, but just really twisting into your spine, putting pressure into your abdomen. Back to center, raising your arm, bending over, figuring how far you want to bend. Again, picturing where you're going to do this, whether it's sitting on your desk chair or at your kitchen table, or standing up, looking out the window, admiring the day. Might be in front of the mirror while you're cleaning your teeth. You can decide how many you do. We often do 3 on each side of things. Working with your breath. center. Hands are really good, and they can get really cold too for the same reasons. So just scrunching, stretching, scrunching, stretching, making fists, circles, getting that circulation going, moving the muscles and stretching them in ways that you don't otherwise. Back the other way. We do a lot of gripping, a lot of typing, a lot of mouse movement, a lot of texting, taking your fingers and thumb back, stretching into your fingers, your palm, your wrist, your forearm, holding your wrist and flick. Other side, fingers and thumb. Holding your wrist and flick. So they are just some of the gentle movements that you can do when you want to try and do some, not none, of yoga. Remembering that each thing you do, you need to be also paying attention to your breath, paying attention to your thoughts, just using that as an opportunity for really mindful moments through your day. Helps you refocus your thoughts if you've got them stuck thinking about something that's worrying you, that's upsetting you, that you're thinking more about than you want to. And if you haven't watched all of the other videos, there's a morning one and an evening one, like a before bed one, and chair yoga ideas for movement through your day, and just some pep talk ones, and they all will help you build on ideas for a practice that is doing some, not none. That the more you're just doing movement through your day, the more you'll feel that in time maybe you can start adding more of a regular practice on the mat, or even just that's enough, that if you're being mindful 10 times a day when you're doing each one of those exercises, you're really building your ability to bring yourself back to the present moment, and you're clocking up the minutes where you're aware of your breath, so that more times in between when you're doing it, you'll go, I should breathe. You might be like hunched over your computer, or slumped in front of the TV, or stressed, stuck in traffic, or lying in bed in a lot of pain, and you just can readjust your posture so that there's space to breathe, that you can move your body so that you're shifting your thoughts into your body can be helpful too, that if you're focusing on moving somewhere, it's harder to think about things at the same time. So yeah, go back and watch some of the other videos. You could rewatch them if you want a reminder. You can always watch again and take some notes. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. And one of my Instagram friends, Sandra from the UK, had a message saying, could I do a some, not none video after I had just posted my chair yoga video, the first one. So it's nice to be able to do a video that someone's requested. So if you have any requests, it could be like even just doing something I've already posted but a bit different, like a bit easier than that video, but basically those things. I'd really love to do a personalized one that is exactly what someone wants. I found it really hard to get started and do this video today. I was feeling a bit blah about what I was going to share. I didn't quite know what people want to hear, so I think that it probably was a useful thing in the end, and yeah, some feedback is really helpful, so let me know. If you haven't subscribed, please hit subscribe and hit the like button, and if you've watched some other videos and didn't get around to liking them, you can go back and do that still. Like I don't get to see who's watched the videos or who's liked them, so it can feel a bit like I'm not sure who's out there watching. So if you're a friend, maybe send me a message and say hi, that you've been following along, and I'd love to hear from you.